Formula One philosophy. Back to recap the Canadian Grand Prix. Home court advantage for Sean and I in what is one of the best tracks ever made, possibly ever made. I don't know. That's a tough discussion. But if someone said it was the best, I would not deny that. Made for some excellent racing, hell or high water, regulation or not, regulations, whatever they are, there's great racing in Canada. As always, subscribe at f1philosophypod@gmail.com. Send us questions there. You can subscribe at F1Philosophy at YouTube and F1_philosophy at Instagram. Sorry, it was a hot day in Canada. I am tired. I'm gonna get there. I will. Sean, how was your day?
My day was okay. Just another day at work for me. So nothing really to write home about there.
Thanks for hosting us on Sunday. We got to finally watch the race together, and neither of us thought to live stream it like normal podcast hosts.
No, but it's probably for the best.
Yeah.
I don't know that it makes for a good live stream just to watch two dudes on the couch.
Depends on what you're into.
It does.
No, but with your wonderful family around and my newborn, couple of beers, couple of bros, and a Formula One Grand Prix race in Canada, that's as close to heaven as I'm gonna get, I think.
And a race at that threw us for a few loops in the process.
Yeah. Let's get into that. We're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about, I think, three main things I want to talk about, and then anything you want to add in the wide world of motorsports and engineering. And then we will play a quick game at the end of Confirm or Deny. I didn't have time to do some toss-ups, so I'll save the toss-ups for after Monaco, because it's been a while since we did a good toss-up. But we'll do Confirm or Deny to finish off the night. I think I just want to say, as Canadians, I'll keep this short. As Canadians, we should be very proud of that track. That's might be our best work. I'm someone who likes to be modest. Like when it comes to my country, I know you know me. I'm not always the most modest person. But when it comes to my nation, I don't like to be all about my nation, where I'm living, very modest about the country I live in. But as Canadians, we should be 100% proud of the circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Made for some great racing. You made a lot of good points while we were talking. I'm going to try and recall them. But what did you take away from the race?
To be honest with you, I thought it was going to be not as good as it was, because I thought this is kind of the opposite of Miami for the new regulation set. So I was concerned we would see a lot more of what people were complaining about. It didn't happen, or let's say it wasn't as visible. Everything was still happening, but the lack of them showing it, just like the lack of them showing it in Miami, seemed to calm people down. So, it made for good racing. There were no complaints about any of the prior nonsense. We had, 3 formation laps?
I lost count.
I think it was 3 formation laps at the end of the day. 2 pit lane starters. I did not start. A couple of drive-through penalties, I think. Or stop-and-go penalties. We got a bunch of 10-second penalties. It was a busy race. And we had a very acrobatic marshal. Decided to put that on show for himself.
Yeah, I don't think he got anything wrong. Oh, that one. No, the marshal.
The one who dove through the fence.
Oh, that was hilarious, yeah. I'm thinking about the racing director with the penalties, and yeah, anyway. I'll get there.
No, I don't think they got anything wrong.
No.
But they were busy.
It wouldn't be Canada without somebody making a fool of themselves goofily.
I mean, that's kind of Montreal in general, right?
Exactly.
Cousin Oliver of Canada sometimes.
We see a version of chaos, I think, every year in Canada, right? Like you had the 2023, you had Austin Martin almost win and Max take victory from the jaws of defeat. 2024, you had the rain-soaked double pass from Albon. McLaren fucking up their strategy a million times over. You had 6 different lead changes. With other teams, we saw, I think, probably, 10, 15 lead changes this Grand Prix between George and Kimi?
Within one team, yeah.
Yeah. But, there was 6, 7 different lead changes within 3 teams in 2024.
Mm-hmm.
And 2025, you had the drama with McLaren and George Russell being a prick.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that to segue because I think one of the talking points of the weekend was the George versus Kimi rivalry. And George was a bit of a prick. What did you think about that?
I mean, he did what George does. There's a lot to get into there. I don't know which version of it you want to start on.
Well, I think the sprint race is where we start, where he pulls a move into turn 1 where he squeezes Kimi off the track. I wouldn't call it dirty. Anybody else doing that move, I think, is completely fine. But it's because, as someone who's complained about every little movement under braking his entire career, for him to do that is very duplicitous, at the very least, in the sprint race.
Yeah. And I mentioned that as well. We were talking about it, our thoughts on the sprint race. And I'll say it again. I don't think George did anything wrong, in the sense that we want to see fighting and we want to see drivers pushing hard. So Kimi pushed him, and he reacted in the way that a racing driver reacts. But you're absolutely right. If he was on the other side of that and Max was in his place, or Lando or Oscar or anybody else, it would be nonstop whining for 5 fucking laps about how he deserves a penalty for moving under braking.
Mm-hmm.
So if George wants to be that person, then he needs to behave like it. I have no problem with him being a racing driver. Just don't throw a hissy fit when it gets done to you.
Oh, yeah. Before we move on, I just want to ask any of our listeners and subscribers, if you saw what I saw, or did I have a Mandela effect moment? Formula1.com manipulated the highlights so that Kimi's radio message, when he said that was very naughty of George, came after, a lap and a half later, when Kimi locked up and almost hit the back of George in the sprint race, instead of saying it when George was pushing him off, I guess, or squeezing him, whatever you want to call it. And I want to know what happened there, but I have an inkling as to why. I think they tried to make it seem like George did nothing wrong and Kimi was just complaining. But with all the censorship they've been doing with the clipping and stuff, that's not a good look for them. And why they went to bat for George in that moment, it was very weird to me. But am I wrong? Is that when that happened? I'm not asking you, Sean. I'm asking our subscribers to post anything if they have the actual live footage or something. Because I know for a fact I saw Kimi complain when he was squeezed, not when he locked up.
Mm-hmm.
So what's going on there?
So I think your comment to me was that was in the highlights.
Yes.
Because very much in the sprint race, it was not that. I didn't go back and watch the highlights, but my take on it was the same as yours. That complaint came out shortly after he got squeezed.
Yeah.
Right? Those messages do tend to be a little delayed, but not a lap and a half delayed.
No. So yeah, what's going on there? What's your take on that, fam? So we should call our subscribers now, because we're young.
No, it's not.
Oh, okay. Well, I tried. What's your take on that? What's going on there? Why are they trying to change the narrative there? It seemed to have lit a fire under Kimi Antonelli's ass, though, because come race time, there was no guilt, there was no apologetics, there was no "I'm the second driver." There was just, I'm going to take it to George. And I think you've had some more time since the race to do some research, if you had, let me know. But you kind of alluded to during the race that George might have pushed himself too hard, and that might have caused the retirement. And
Yeah, I didn't look at it at all. But the reason I said that in the race is because the track is basically straights into big chicanes. There really isn't a whole lot of additional cornering. It's you get a straight or a long bend, which is effectively a straight, into a chicane of varying sizes. So there's a lot of curb running in Montreal, a lot of curb running. And the curbs are varying sizes. But if George was trying to push harder than he was comfortable with and running over those curbs, this could be a reliability issue with the powertrain related to vibration. And we saw numerous times he'd go deep into the hairpin or he'd go off track through the grass in corner 7, I believe, at the entry to the chicane before the run up to the hairpin. And those are big bumps, especially when you're over the curb onto the grass and then off the other side again. That is not a well-maintained area there. So it's possible that all of his pushing, let's call it, and the mistakes that were endured because of it led to something happening. A connector coming loose, a line failing, something breaking. So that's why I said that comment. I have absolutely nothing to support it.
it just seemed like he was under pressure the whole race, and he was making, like you said, some big mistakes. He locked up twice, Kimi only once. The way I saw it, it was a matter of time before Kimi took the lead.
Yep.
So it wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, I know you. I'm not calling you out. I'm just saying I wonder how much of that was driver error, because he's trying to make it seem it like it's just, oh, I'm just so unlucky.
No, and I've said it before with Alonso and Lawson, and I think Lando as well. The driver input has a contribution to engine durability. The higher you run it, the longer you run it against the rev limiter, the more aggressive your downshifts and upshifts are. They all play into vehicle reliability. So if you're under pressure trying to run away from your young, better teammate, and you're making mistakes, you're missing shifts, you're pulling too early, you're pulling too late, whatever the case may be, all that adds up into reliability issues. Right? Turbochargers spin extremely fast, and they spin in proportion to the RPM of the motor. The faster the motor spins, the faster the turbo spins. So if you're running too high too consistently, there's a good chance that turbo is not going to last as long as the other guy. Right? And this is something that race drivers get to know as they come through the series, is how to adjust for changes in, let's say, rev limit. It's a pretty common thing to be able to adjust on race cars. Where is your rev limiter? If you're pushing it higher to get more power, you can't sit there as long. So all that stacks up to powertrain reliability. And that may have played a part, or it may just have been that 5 weekends in with a couple of sprint races in there was too much for that powertrain. Maybe you had an old unit in there.
Is Kimi the favorite now?
I would say since the second race, he's been the favorite.
It's because him and Toto are working very hard to make sure that he seems like the underdog, that he's not under too much pressure. And what's key, I think, I had a whole rant in my head about how Kimi and Toto are defeating British bias, but I can't word it properly without it sounding like word diarrhea right now, so I'm not gonna say that. I'm just gonna say that they're controlling the narrative better than Oscar Piastri did last year. I think Oscar you saw after Zandvoort, when a similar retirement like this happened to Lando, the team was almost not pissed at Oscar, but was trying to say this is a bad day because Lando didn't finish. You did not see that at Mercedes. Not even a little bit. They were very happy Kimi won, even if it was at the expense of George. And I think it's because they're controlling the narrative in such a way that Kimi is looking like the good guy no matter what he does. And this is where Piastri failed. And this is where you see the difference in backing the non-British driver. And that's the best way I can put it without sounding like a complete nut.
Yeah. I won't disagree with you because I think you're finally coming around to the point, just in your own ridiculous way. They're defeating British bias because British bias doesn't really exist because barely any part of the thing is actually British anymore. The media portion of it, sure, but
yes,
yeah, we're coming around to the same thing here, I think, from different sides.
The narrative control is the British bias because they have a dominant media presence. That's something Oscar couldn't control last year. He always looked like the bad guy, and then internally he looked like the bad guy because of it at a mostly British team. I think everybody believed the idea that Lando deserved that title last year without facing reality that Oscar was clearly better.
Mm-hmm.
And this year, the team is being guided by Toto saying, because Toto staked his reputation on Kimi. So in order for him to succeed, he needs Kimi to succeed at the expense of George. In a sense, I think he wants them both to succeed in their own way, but George is not going to stop until he's champion, which may not fit into Toto's plans, which makes the 1 year plus one make a lot more sense, makes the contract drama last year where they would not sign George until late make a lot more sense.
Mm-hmm.
It all hinged on Kimi doing what he's doing right now.
Yeah. Okay. I really don't have much else to say on that one.
Yeah, I guess that is more my wheelhouse. I had this whole rant in my head this morning, but it's so hard to explain without going deep into history and all the way back to like 1907. So I'm not going to bore everybody with details over here, but Winston Churchill will make an appearance too from time to time.
And I'm sure this somehow connects to Rubens Barrichello.
This is a Formula One podcast. Absolutely, Sean. Rubens Barrichello, who was born 30 or 40 years after Winston Churchill's heyday, somehow connects to this.
Yes.
Let's talk McLaren. What the fuck was that?
For the first lap, it looked like it was brilliant. Lando took off like a fucking rocket, got in the lead, and yeah, then it didn't rain.
Yeah.
So that intermediate pick was somewhat intelligent if it had started raining somewhere in the 3 formation laps that we got. But with the moisture that was on track, I think 3 formation laps was probably enough to kill those intermediates.
Yeah.
So that wasn't going to work, and you and I were kind of screaming at the TV that they should come in and pit and get off of those at some point in the formation laps. I have to go back and look and see if I can find it, but I'm not sure what the regulation is. So after the first formation lap, if they had come in and put on slicks, I think they technically would have had to run the next ones from the pits and start in the pits because they would have lost position.
I think that works out the same, though, right? Like, based on what they did.
It potentially would have been better for them.
Yes.
Yeah, because they would not have made 2 additional pit stops.
Yeah. It's like the parable of, like, the guy sitting on the roof in a hurricane and his house is getting flooded and the water's coming up past his roof, and he says, God, please help me. Please get me out of this hurricane. And a guy with a boat comes. Right? That's the first formation lap. And he says, no, I'm waiting for God to help me. And then a guy with a jet ski comes, and that's the second formation lap. And then a helicopter comes. That's the third formation lap. And it's like, no, we're waiting for God to save me. And then they drowned. And when they go up to God, they say, what the hell happened? He says, I sent you 2 boats and a helicopter. You had every opportunity to fix a fuck up that you didn't need to make. Everybody else is starting on slicks. If you're all wrong, you all still have to pit.
Yes. I'll give it to you, Nick. That was very well executed. I knew where you were going with that from the start, and you didn't fuck it up. That's rare.
Maybe I should sit outside in the sun all day, every time we any
Why
very,
not?
very thick pizza. Okay. There was, I just don't understand. I happen to think I think they threw away a win. I really do. Based on everything that happened, they potentially threw away a win. You saw with Kimi and George fighting, Lando's a lap down, but right behind them. He had to let them pass, but he's a lap down right behind them. If they
And stayed there.
And stayed, if you just stayed on the lead lap, you might have won this race.
Absolutely. And we saw from the McLaren, or from the Mercedes, the soft tire lasted, 30 laps? Something like that?
Yeah, you were
Almost half the race.
And you were quick to remind me that McLaren is known for making their tires last.
Specifically the medium.
Yeah, I got nothing else. They blew it.
Absolutely.
And now they have 3 of 5 races with no points. And still they look like a really lethal team. But yeah, continue.
Yep. No, and staying with McLaren, we saw early in the season, Lando ran through, 2 or 3 batteries in the first 2 races. And now I haven't heard what actually failed on his car, but something failed on the car. And they pitted him the second time for a reliability problem, quote unquote, which they changed tires and the car kind of sat there, which makes me think maybe somebody was digging something out of a brake duct. So maybe it was a braking issue. I don't know. Speculation. But if it's a legitimate powertrain problem, Lando doesn't have many more components to go through. He's got the short end of the stick of Mercedes powertrains this year. So this could be pretty impactful depending on what it is that went wrong.
Yeah. Remember, everybody, Sean said this after Japan. Nobody else is talking about this, so make sure to listen, like, and subscribe to all of our videos.
And then we have Piastri, who I don't know what the fuck happened to him. He turned into Kevin Magnussen this weekend. I don't know what that was.
Yeah.
Albon's just minding his own business and gone.
We've seen that from Piastri before. When he gets desperate and rattled, he makes big mistakes like that. We've seen it, and he was
Baku last year.
Yes, absolutely. I was even going to say Brazil. A little bit. It wasn't mistake per se, but he went for it and locked up very similarly.
Yeah.
It wasn't really touched upon on our broadcast, and I would like to have seen the Sky Sports broadcast if they did it differently. But I've seen in the days since that Oscar was pretty rattled because he asked the team 4 times to come into the pits in the beginning parts of the race.
Oh, to get off the inters.
Yes.
Yeah, we saw some of that in the coverage. We saw that back and forth between the team and the formation laps.
Oh. Whoops. But yeah, he was clear. The point is, he's clearly rattled, and I think that's the Piastri you see when he's upset.
Yeah.
Good weekend, I guess, for Ferrari and Red Bull. I guess, right? They needed three cars that are usually ahead of them to DNF. What were your thoughts on Ferrari and Red Bull?
Hamilton obviously did okay. In second place, it's better than okay. He passed Max on track on merit. He loves that course, so I really can't say anything bad for Hamilton. You know, he came out at the beginning of the weekend and addressed some of the comments about him possibly retiring and said, no, he's not going anywhere, and that he's changed a couple of things around and he's no longer in the simulator at Ferrari, which is something he famously didn't do at Mercedes. And look, it worked out for him. Time will tell if that lasts. But we also had 2 fairly different races for Hamilton because the sprint wasn't as great. So if you consider McLaren not fucking it up, I don't know that he does that well.
Exactly.
Because like you said, 2 more people in front of him, 3 more if you include Russell. So it was a good race. He finished second. Good haul of points for him. Keeps him in 4th place in the Drivers' Championship. And he is only 18 points behind Russell.
Wow.
So that is an achievable gap. So I can't say anything bad about it. I think Verstappen did the best that he could. It was a difficult weekend for them. The car was not behaving the way that they wanted, but it was better than it has previously been. So they're making progress. Same caveat. Add 3 people to that, and he's kind of back to where he has been. So we'll wait and see what Monaco brings. But overall, I think it was a good weekend, given the fact that we had DNFs. We had a little bit of chaos here and there.
Big weekend for Hadjar, finally. Poor guy couldn't buy a race finish in the points. In the sprint, he's doing really well. Car blows up on him. This time it held together to him, barely. He tried his hardest to get the gap to Colapinto to go as close as possible. Started off at what, 53 seconds, and then went down to 20 by the end after all of his penalties. Stop-go, yeah.
Oh, yeah. You're talking about ahead of Hadjar, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was like 45 seconds ahead, and then he had a 10-second stop-go, and that brought him to like 16 seconds ahead.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he had the pace to be there, right? He couldn't have made that gap if he didn't. So, good result for him. That's 10 points. That's his best finish yet. His 2nd points of the season, and that has him in 11th place.
Behind Colapinto.
So if he can... Nope, ahead of.
Yeah?
Yeah, by 1 point.
Oh.
14 to 13.
Oh, wow. All right. Before we get into confirm or deny, I hate to shit on Ferrari even when they do well, but I just noticed the attitude of 2 different teams this weekend, and one's going in the right direction, the other's going in the wrong direction. And Ferrari was very happy with what they got, and Red Bull wasn't satisfied at all. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Ferrari finishes 2nd and 4th, Red Bull finishes 3rd and 5th. You would think that, and they finally get both a good haul of points after a couple bad races. You would think both would be ecstatic, but a team that knows how to win like Red Bull is miserable, and a team like Ferrari, which probably wouldn't have been there without DNFs, is ecstatic. Nothing's changed, has it? Nothing's changed. They're still going backwards. Yeah, they're still going backwards. They still haven't really learned anything. They still have the wrong attitude. And kudos to Red Bull for wanting to grow. But Ferrari just takes it when they can get it. And it's just, that's not a team that started off as championship favorites. Like, to me, that's not a championship favorite in any stretch of the imagination.
And I think we talked about this before. Ferrari doesn't want to win. They don't want to win the championship. They want to be high enough in the standings that they can say that they're competitors for the win. But there's no point in them winning. I believe we talked about this in a previous episode. Maybe it was a fever dream. But having a team that is perpetually on the cusp of winning keeps the Ferrari fan base as militant as they are.
Yes.
If you look at the Mercedes fan base, they're not nearly as fanatical, mainly because Ferrari is a national team and all the Italians flock to it like it's their bread and butter, but also partly because they've proven they can win in the past. So it's not that they're a bad team suddenly making good. They're a championship team fighting the good fight. And as long as Ferrari can keep that up, they don't have to win. It's actually a detriment to them if they win, because then the expectation is there that they will win. So that's why they're happy about it. We're doing enough. How very Italian. Whereas Red Bull has to be able to win. Their reputation and their history doesn't support having a fan base like that. They need to be able to win to maintain their existence, let's say. Because if they stop making money by being so far down the pack that they can't bring in endorsements, they can't bring in prize money, they can't bring in any of that, they will cease to exist because they're a normal F1 team, whereas Ferrari is not.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. Hope is the truth about despair, as Bane said in The Dark Knight Rises. Yeah,
we should have queued that up.
That's where I learned the truth about despair. You can't have despair without hope. And there's constant hope at Ferrari. Also,
nothing else, but
yes. Everybody loves a lovable loser. Everybody hates a militant winner, someone who always wins and is unapologetic about it. That's another way to put it. Yeah. And that's what I've been accusing Ferrari of. So you've crystallized it better than I could, because I just get so emotional about it. But I've been accusing Ferrari about this for years, is that they're not acting like winners. They're acting like people that you want to love. They'd rather be loved than do what it takes to win. When you did what it took to win, everybody hated you. But it felt good, didn't it? Anyway, anything else you want to add about the race before we move on?
Let's talk George's penalty quickly. Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
I mentioned it to you while we were watching when the investigation popped up that he was being investigated for an infringement, driving infringement, whatever they called it. And I said it's because of the headrest. Because he threw the headrest out of the car. You cannot do that, especially on a live track. So the stewards pulled him into the stewarding room afterwards and talked to him about that, and he was very apologetic, and I shouldn't have done that, and it was wrong, and whatever, right? George is easily the best actor on the grid. His body language, his demeanor the entire time he was on the side of the track was very frustrated, upset, all the things you would name, which he has every right to be in that case, right? But he also prides himself on being a consummate gentleman and a professional racer, right?
Sure.
And I mentioned to you while we were watching that there have been many other people who have DNF'd in that corner, which is right by a grandstand, and they hop over the fence and they're at the base of the grandstand. And what do? Almost every single one of them waves to the crowd, brushes off their own frustration, throws their gloves to the crowd, might sign a couple autographs, whatever. These are the people that paid to see you. And I guarantee you there were Russell fans there. And you're allowed to be frustrated. You're allowed to be upset. But to me, this speaks to who George actually is. If he was a true professional racer, like others we've seen, he would embrace the people there. He doesn't care about anybody but himself. He just wanted to get out of there as fast as he could so that he could probably go bitch to Toto about whatever he thought injustice slighted him in that corner. Right? And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to say, he didn't do anything for the people in the grandstands, therefore he's a bad guy. No, it's just indicative, based on what we've seen from other drivers of that caliber, that he's not thinking of anything but himself. Right? Whenever he says great fans, we adore this place, whatever, the fans are great, it's all bullshit. It's because that's what he knows he has to say. Just like when he got into the steward's room, he knew he had to apologize. He doesn't give a fucking shit. He knew exactly what he was doing.
That you've been calling him AI for months now, and I was thinking that when I saw the look in his eyes, it didn't look authentic behind the barriers. It looked like when he had just DNF'd, he wasn't actually mad. He looked like someone told him he needed to be mad, frustrated, and use all his emotions in that moment to rebound for the future. It's like someone told him this is how humans react in these moments.
Well, AI learns by studying examples. And Max has a lot of those examples, and he behaved like Max to a degree.
Well said. Max is the
Although I'm
robot.
sure Max would have acknowledged the crowd.
Max is. I'm trying to think of like the superhero equivalent here. Like Max is the robot, programmed robot. Max is Iron Man. George is Michael. Oh, this is a good one. Michael Fassbender from Alien. Max is once a
From
human.
Prometheus.
Yes, yes, that's what it is. Yeah. He actually kind of looks like Michael Fassbender from Alien, a little bit, like with a bit of lupus.
Yeah, I think they like to be. He would prefer to be called a synthetic human.
We're in a simulation, aren't we, Sean?
Quite possibly.
As I talk this out, it's just too perfect. Oh God. Okay.
Maybe just to cap that off, then his penalty. He didn't actually get a penalty. He got a suspended penalty.
Huh.
So no fine, no penalty for the next race. But if something similar happens again, he will get the full extent of that penalty. So worth noting.
I'd gladly pay you 2 penalties for 1 penalty today. Okay. You don't remember that from Popeye, the guy? No, okay. All right.
No.
It's It's supposed to signify deferred gratification. Wimpy. Wimpy's the name. Go look up the character Wimpy. He always says, "I'd rather pay you for 2 hamburgers tomorrow for 1 hamburger today."
No, I'm
Yeah.
I'm well aware of that. I didn't realize it was from Popeye and then had nothing to do with penalties, but I get what you were going for.
Yeah. It's a deferred penalty, is what I'm getting at.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Want to get into our game of the week?
Let's do it.
So confirm or deny. I got 3 questions today, and we'll come back with toss-up next week. It's been a while since we did some good old toss-ups, but yeah. Okay. Confirm or deny, Sean. Esteban Ocon will be a Haas driver in 2027.
I'm going to go ahead and deny that. Not because of what came out in the media over the weeks between Miami and Canada, which Ocon and Komatsu were very quick to dismiss. But I mean, Komatsu has to dismiss it. What's he going to do? Go out there and say, yeah, we fucking hate the guy, I want him gone?
If he
Doesn't do him any good.
If he was Gunther Steiner, he would. But yeah, anyway.
Sure. Yeah. But he's not, and that's kind of why he's got that job, right? But Ocon's got 1 point.
Yeah.
Behrman has
18,
and he's in 9th place. This is not what they signed Ocon for. And this is his 2nd season with the team.
Yeah.
He can't have a seat next year. I don't see any justification for it.
No. Just to talk about what you're talking about, over the weeks in between Miami and Canada, there was reports that there was a giant fight happening, or a row happening, between Ocon and Komatsu. They no longer can work with each other, and all the stuff he's been saying weeks prior, that Ocon is like 2025 was disappointing, is boiling over now, and he's getting really frustrated with Ocon. There was also some talk that maybe Behrman is forcing the hand by saying, I want to leave and go to Ferrari, and that's where the Lewis Hamilton retirement rumors are coming from, but that's a bit of a stretch to me. But that would signal that Komatsu needs potentially a replacement for Behrman, and he can't rely on Ocon. And I'm gonna agree with you. I'm gonna deny that he'll be a Haas driver. There's no good reason now. You're not a valuable input to this team right now, especially when there's now looking like a big fight for 6. It looks like Racing Bulls has come to play bigger than anybody would thought. And Williams is not done. So they need Esteban Ocon firing all cylinders, and he's nowhere. Every weekend, nowhere to be found.
Yep, absolutely. And it's not Ocon, Behrman wanting to go to Ferrari is natural. He's been in their development for a long time. Getting into F1 has always been a step up to Ferrari. But Ferrari has no room for him.
Mm.
If he goes anywhere else, I think his career is done. Not because he's not a good driver, but because he's put so much time into Haas so far, and he's put so much time into Ferrari. The only way he's going to get to Ferrari is from Haas. There's no other option.
Mm.
So making a move will virtually end his upward momentum. And he's shown that he can develop or at least drive in a car that is uncomfortable, like we've talked about before. And he is single-handedly keeping them in the fight for sixth place.
Mm.
So he has no choice in my mind but to sit there and tough it out until Leclerc either decides to go elsewhere or kills himself, whichever one comes first. I think that will happen one or the other before Hamilton retires. So he needs a teammate that is going to help him. And there are plenty more drivers available that can do that Ocon can't.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We talked about Sergio Perez potentially not being a Cadillac in 27 because they're waiting on Herta. Perez is a better option for Haas than Ocon is.
Mm-hmm.
They're, any of the F2 drivers that are currently fighting for the championship are better options than Ocon is.
Yeah, former double champion Bruno Fornaroli sitting on the sides. So, or Leonardo.
There you go.
Yeah.
There is no justification for Ocon anymore. There's no link to Mercedes, so Toto's management of him doesn't mean anything. There's no carrot there in powertrain discounts or anything like that. So why bother?
No. What a fall from grace. Even I was duped by him. I thought last year he was going to really excel. And he has just fallen flat and shown that he's the guy you thought he was. You've called this from the beginning, so kudos.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Next one. A spicy one. Confirm or deny, Isaac Hadjar will score 75 points this year.
The way the season's going, I think I have to deny it.
Mm.
He's going to score some points, but it's been slow to start. And that engine may not be as reliable as we thought it was. The transmission seems to be lacking as well. I think it's going to be rough for Hadjar. Where does he sit now? It's 18 points, I think, or 14 points, I said.
Yeah,
14 points. To get to 75 at the rate he's going,
won't make it.
I mean, if he can continue to have 10-point finishes, which is what, sixth place? Fifth? That's a tall order. Yeah, there are a lot of races left, but fuck. I think it's going to be hard for him.
Yeah, I think he'll come good into the points for the rest of the season, but will it be 8th every time? 7th if he's lucky? And to get 75?
I could still do it.
It'll be tight. It's another 17 races, 4 points each. That's he'll just make it. But with reliability, with other things like you're saying, it's going to be really tough. Max is barely getting 6th.
Yeah.
So I got to deny it as well. I still think him and Max are a great partnership, though. They're never comfortable. They always want more.
Yes.
They are always fighting to get better. This is exactly who Max needed, I think. And for the most part, when he is qualifying, when the car isn't falling apart, he's close to Max in qualifying. So.
Yes. And he's proven that he seems to be able to hack it in a car that other drivers couldn't.
Mm.
I'm not putting him at Max's level, but similar to Behrman, he's at least comfortable with uncomfortable hardware, which says a lot about a driver.
That's a good point. All right. Last one. We'll have fun with this one. Confirm or deny, Aston Martin will score 10 points before Audi and Williams. Williams is at 9 right now.
I mean, If you're including Williams, then it's a deny because they just need one, and I think one's coming next week at a minimum. If we're being realistic and calling it Audi, Aston, and Cadillac, which Audi has 2 points, based on what we're seeing, Aston might get to 10 points before Audi does, even if that's into next year. This weekend, we talked about it a little bit as we were sitting there watching. Alonso can drive when he's comfortable, and that car had some performance in it. It got into Q2, and then he put it face first into the wall. In the race, he got up there, he made some positions. He was running really well. But then all of a sudden, he's in the pits, retiring. Did you hear what his retirement was?
No.
A seat problem.
Ugh.
So I don't know if it's that the base of the seat came loose, something broke, the seat belts, whatever it was. But that's a stupid fucking problem to have. After all the problems you've had and what you've come back to show 5 races in, being able to at least compete, to retire the only competitive car with a seat problem.
Yeah.
There's also the possibility that it had nothing to do with the car, and it was this 45-year-old back not willing to put up with it anymore.
Uh-huh.
But they're calling it a seat problem. Put 2 proper drivers in that car, please.
I'm begging them. I've been begging them for years. Like, I want to support this team. But Stroll is in the middle of nowhere doing nothing, and Alonso, like you said, is probably just too old for this now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you and I are going to deny all 3 of them, the whole stretch of the way. No confirms. But you know what? I will go confirm. I don't know if Williams scores points next weekend. And I think one big weekend is coming, is what I'm getting at. I think a big weekend's coming for Aston. It might be their only good weekend of the season, but something's coming. And nothing looks like it's really coming for Audi. And Williams is hit or miss.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a bad call, because if Alonso qualifies well in Monaco, what was that? 5th place is 10 points?
Yeah.
Let's say out of nowhere, he qualifies 5th in Monaco. Then all he has to do is do what he does every other weekend. Act like a fucking cork, and he's got 10 points. I don't think he's going to qualify that high. But if he's up there high enough to get into a reasonable spot in Q2, he does have a chance of scoring points in Monaco with a couple of DNFs and doing what he does and making that car 3 times wider than it should be. That's how he's going to do it.
Alonso qualifying 5th in Monaco would actually make it a really interesting race, because he would slow down 6th to 22nd so much that the leaders couldn't lap.
They may end up winning the race because the leaders will DNF through traffic.
Yes. The strategy for the leaders would be like, okay, we don't want to be caught up in the traffic. That could make it interesting, right? Like he hold back everybody so much that they can't get past him. The leaders will have to start strategizing things differently. Might cause some accidents, like you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. We want to see it, everybody.
But then maybe the race director grows a spine and penalizes him for it. Driving unnecessarily slowly.
I think you and I both know he will be fired instantly.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. On that note, let's call it a night, Sean. Thanks for doing this again. Monaco in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Let's just skip it. It might be interesting. It might be interesting. It might be interesting. We'll see.
I mean, technically it should be the best track for these regulations because they can recharge everywhere and deploy everywhere all the time.
Fingers crossed.
We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Still can't get 2 cars wide through there, though.
No. Did they keep the 2 pit stop strategy mandatory thing this year or no?
I think at the end of last year they said that they did not want to do that, but they were exploring options. So we may get it, we may not.
Ugh.
I think it was useless last year. It gave us nothing.
No. I think, and you and I mentioned it before we left on Sunday, this will be the first weekend we don't see a Mercedes win. I think it's shaping up for that.
Possible. I say, let's do Monaco without closing off the track. Leave all the citizens free to travel. Cars, bikes, buses. That's how we race Monaco.
Oh, God. The Great Massacre at Monaco 2026. Brought to you by Sean Medeiros.
And why not?
Yeah, they all have money for medical there, so they'll be fine.
There you go.
F1_philosophy at Instagram for any questions. Like I said, stay tuned to the Formula One coverage to see and give us any notes you have on that, on the manipulation of Kimi's radio. F1 Philosophy at YouTube and F1_philosophy at Instagram to see Sean go off with some dank memes. Sean, you have yourself a wonderful night.
You too, Nick.
Ciao.
Good night.